What's up, everybody? Drew with Inside the Game, and yes, that's right. Last Oasis is making its way to Xbox. We sat down with the developers on Last Oasis Donkey Crew and asked them a few questions. Enjoy the interview.
We clung to life because we never stopped walking.
So this is an Xbox One game, and we are definitely like working on seeing if we actually can have an Xbox Series S or X version of the game later. But right now, of course, this game is going to be playable on Xbox Series via retrocompatibility. But this version is made for Xbox One and Xbox One S and One X. We use Xbox One dev kits and all of that. So what we can say is about the target frame rate for this version, the last gen version, which is like we are targeting it as 30 FPS. Right now we have some parts of the game that run steady at 45, some of them are on 30 on point, some of them struggle and get like 28 or something. And definitely there's something that we are working on during the game preview of the game, kind of like making everything more performant on the Xbox, and also like making the playing field good both for PC and Xbox. But of course, if the coming out release, we're gonna assess how we're actually gonna do our next gen version for the Xbox Series S and X. So we cannot officially say target FPS for the series next gen versions because that's just not the version that we're working on right now.
Let's put it like this: right now, most of our focus has been to just add all of this content and really make the Xbox version look perfect. And that took a lot of our focus and effort. But regarding the future, I would say that we are very largely community-driven development. That doesn't mean we do have ideas, more than enough ideas to what we want to develop. But right now, we want to see if those changes that we did work out in a way that we expected. So in particular, what we are most excited about, apart from the content and the Xbox obviously, is this shift to the new small realms. Like, I cannot state strongly enough how much I think this will impact gameplay. Because previously you were like one person in a group of 10,000, and now you might be one person in a group of 100. And this means that you will have much more impact on the game. And with that coming, a lot of our design decisions might change in the next coming month. So, as I said, community-driven development. We look at how do our actions work, do they work as intended, and where do we take it?
So both NVIDIA DLSS and ray tracing, everything of this new kind of stuff, we're definitely working on it. We don't have it right now, but we're definitely going to be assessing if we're going to introduce it for the next gen version. Of course, the PC is always going to be like the biggest version with all of this introduction. So for now, we don't have it, and we don't have like a clear plan on when to add it. But definitely, if we're going on the road for next-gen consoles, we're definitely gonna start leveling with that and let you guys know. About mouse and keyboard support from Vadimes, I guess that's how you say it. That's actually a very interesting question because yes, there is support for mouse and keyboard on Xbox. So both versions of the game are the same, right? So they both have support for the gamepad and the mouse and keyboard. And also the gamepad and mouse keyboard UI, even though they are unified, they are a little bit different. So right now you can see I'm on the gamepad. You can see like there's like the top left panel, which has like this switches, which you do with the bumpers. And if I actually touch my mouse here or my keyboard, you see that it changes. So this is actually like the mouse and keyboard UI. Like when you change the input, you actually like this is gonna look more like the PC build that we had. It's the same UI, but it's a little bit different. There's no top panel stuff. And it changes a little bit at the hotkeys and stuff so you can play on keyboard. So both of the versions support that, but we are not claiming that we 100% support mouse and keyboard on Xbox just yet, just because we still have some little glitches right now with like hot swapping between game inputs. So we're still fixing that, and as soon as possible, we're gonna send a new patch for the game that is gonna have like a 100% official support. But the game already works with keyboard and mouse. You're gonna be able to use that on release day, but it's not officially supported yet because it still has some problems.
So first of all, we have on PC we have private servers for via Nitrado already, and we're going to have that for Xbox as well. Not exactly at launch, but soon, like a week after launch. So we just need to figure some technicalities out, but it won't take long. But another thing that we want to focus on is actual, let's say, self-hosted private servers, which is another big thing that we want to work on this year. So the ability for people to host their own server and to have complete access over where they want to host it, etc. That is something we want to introduce. It's something that the community asks for a lot, and we will, it's just we also want to give that to the community. It's just difficult from the technical. So yes, private servers will be a huge focus this year.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, and also with the private servers, there's a little bit of like the mouse and keyboard stuff, because like at this moment you can actually have your private servers like Xbox or Crossplay, but for you to own a private server right now with Nitrado, you actually need to use your Steam account. So any Xbox player that wants to host a server would be able to, but not with their Xbox Live ID at the moment. We are working on introducing it, but like you're definitely going to see people hosting private servers with their own Steam ID that are going to be like cross-play and Xbox only. Like the good part is that Xbox players can join any server. They can join Xbox only servers and also cross-play servers, both on official and on the private realms. Well, we don't know because we don't have that plan yet, but as soon as we assess that, we're going to check if there's going to be like an enhanced version that's just going to update the base version, or it's going to be a different one. I just cannot talk about that right now because we don't know. So I can say that the competitiveness is there. We did a lot of testing with both Xbox players versus PC players, where we didn't see like a gigantic leap. But of course, when you're trying like a $10,000 computer versus an Xbox, there's going to be a little bit of an advantage on the performance side. And the way that we actually leveled this out in the beginning, and of course we are going to be watching closely to see, because right now we tested a lot, but this is a massive game. We can't kind of like test the output of like hundreds and thousands of players. So we're going to see this working with the Xbox, and the good thing that we have is that we have Xbox only realm. So if by all means we see that like the playing field is not being leveled on the crossplay, we have the Xbox players being able to fall back to Xbox only servers while we actually kind of check it out. But in our case, we didn't saw that.
I wouldn't call it fall.
Yeah.
Like, I actually think that the experience, so me personally, I actually plan playing on an Xbox only realm on season 3. I just want to see what it's like, and in particular with the introduction of different clan sizes, clan size limitations per realm, it's going to be very interesting for smaller groups and play. So I wouldn't call it falling back. And I think that the experience on the Xbox realms is going to be very interesting, because you get to experience the game from fresh, I guess, and you get to learn it together with other people who are not familiar with the game yet. And that's kind of for me personally, the most exciting part about a survival game, about learning how everything works. So that is what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, true. The Xbox realms are going to be like the experience of playing Last Oasis for the first time, because well, most of the players are not actually veterans like the PC players are.